migration.
Thank you, Ellie. Hi, I'm Lucy. One of today's top story is whether Britain should remain in the EU or not. On the 20th of February in the UK, Prime Minister David Cameron announced a referendum of the sensitive topic of whether Britain should remain in the EU. A referendum is a vote that allows everyone above the voting age to say yes or no to the referendum question. The European Union, often known as the EU, is an economic and political partnership involving 28 European countries. It began after World War II to foster economic cooperation with the idea that countries which chain together are more likely to avoid going to a war with each other. The referendum question being posed by David Cameron is, should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union? This controversial referendum is now being known as the Brexit, which is short for the decision to be made on whether Britain is to exit the EU or not. In today's society, many people in the UK confuse migrants with refugees, which is why the referendum was brought up in the first place. In the UK in 2015, net migration reached 336,000 and long-term international immigration reached 636,000. In 2014, foreign-born made up of 13% of the UK population. This has increased a fair amount since 1993, where it was 7%. The increasing amount of immigrants is not necessarily a bad thing, like the media and certain government parties want you to believe. We live in a multi-ethnic society which has so many benefits, one of which being that we will be taught about others' lives and about other people's countries, cultures, thereby making Britain less ignorant to the rest of the world. Here at the Embrook School, we have an increasingly large diversity of students from all across the world who have dealt with huge changes to their lives in and out of school. At least 20% of the students here at Embrook School are from different countries such as Spain, Poland and Hungary. The majority of students from India. We've interviewed some students who migrated to the UK on their experiences of moving countries.
Én Magyarországon születtem, július végén. Sok minden, például az iskola elkezdésének az ideje.
My father came to Britain a year before me, my mother and sister. When my mum said that we moved to England, I was a bit worried but excited too. In Hungary, my mum had a job but she only earned £2 an hour and it was really difficult to live with that kind of income. In England, they both have jobs and we have a nicer house and car. The Embrook School and everyone has been very welcoming and helpful. I love wearing uniform because it makes everyone equal and you don't get judged. I don't like the fact that children always use bad language and it's hard to learn English, and the students do not always behave well to each other. It has been hard in school because in Hungary I was in year 9, but here I'm in year 11 and have to do GCSEs this year. I would like to travel around England and see more that we've not travelled yet. I don't think I'll go back as I would think that I have a much better life here.
Hello, Donatus.
Hello.
So, what country were you born in?
I was born in Lithuania, in the capital city of Vilnius.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And when did you arrive in the UK?
Alright, in 2013, like 2.5 years ago, I ended year 7 and I started year 8.
Oh, okay. And what are the differences and the similarities between your school from Lithuania and the Embrook School?
I would say one thing is buildings, because in Lithuania, the buildings, like, as a building is one, and in England is like really separated in between lessons. Like if one block is English, other is maths, and then it's German, it's French, languages.
Yeah. And when you did join, did you find Embrook School welcoming?
I felt welcomed. The teachers were really nice to me, same as some classmates, I guess, be nice. Just asking a lot of questions that didn't really actually make me happy because my English wasn't really good.
Ooh, so did you have a language barrier when you first came?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you enjoy about living in the UK and about going to this school?
What I like is the lessons, because in England I kind of enjoy more learning than I did in Lithuania. It's not because they teach badly, they just became more interesting for me.
Are there any things you dislike?
What I don't really like in England is just weather, because it's not really nice all the time. It's cold and raining, and I don't really like to go outside because of that.
And did you want to move countries, or did you not get a choice when you were asked?
I wasn't really forced. I was planning to go to England like before, like 4 years before I did actually. So I was kind of wanting to go to the other countries. That's not forcing. That's
Just choice.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And do you imagine in the future that you would probably stay in Britain or return back to Lithuania?
I would stay in Britain because there are more advantages to live in Britain and in Lithuania. For example, economics, how I did mention earlier.
Thank you, Donatus.
As we move towards this referendum and as the migrant crisis in the UK is becoming a large problem for the government, we here at the Edinburgh School hope that we remain a vibrant and welcoming community for all migrants coming to the UK. Thank you, and back to LA.
How bad is the UK's homelessness issue? Caroline reports for us from a fundraising event.
Thank you, Ellie. I'm here in the Year 7 courtyard, and on the 15th of April, Edinburgh students will be taking part in the Big Sleep Out to raise money for Launchpad charity. Launchpad is a charity based in Reading that helps some of Reading's most disadvantaged people make their lives better. The charity was started 35 years ago and was originally a soup kitchen known as Reading Single Homeless Project until 2011. The charity mainly works to provide accommodation, support, education and counselling to anyone in need of help. The topic is something that teachers, Mr. Riley, Miss Andrews, as well as some of their students found particularly interesting. After talking to Mr. Riley, he told us that the Big Sleep Out will take place here right behind me. They plan to line the floor with cardboard as well as mats and sleeping bags to make the experience as realistic as possible. It will last 12 hours where they plan to amuse themselves by playing board games and listening to Mr. Riley play the ukulele. The reason they have chosen to do this is to show their support and raise awareness of the large amount of homeless people across Wokingham and Reading areas. Nearly 38,000 people are homeless across England and Wales, as well as 412 families living in B&Bs in Reading. This is something the charity aims to combat. The school's aim is to make sure their students understand the importance of the issue and help in any way they can. Back to you in the studio.
In light of International Women's Day, our Year 9 team investigates gender equality here at the Edinburgh School.
Hello and welcome to BBC News School Report. On Tuesday the 8th of March, the world came together to celebrate International Women's Day. In honour of the day, we investigated how equal the genders are within our school.
This includes subject influences through gender, teaching roles, behaviour and appearances. We have interviewed staff and multiple students on their views of gender equality and independent experiences.
In lessons, does a gender dominate more?
Yeah, it does in my lessons. In my lessons I would say boys dominate more than...
Do you think that you're expected to behave in certain ways or look?
Appearance-wise, I feel that I can't do any like small things that are more associated with girls, like for example, like doing my eyebrows or something like that, something really minor, because I feel the response from the girls is usually quite positive, but it's the boys that thing. So I feel kind of intimidated.
And do you feel the pressure to look good and like wear tons of makeup? And
sometimes boys are really nice and they'll say like, oh, you look fine without makeup, but then there's that one day where someone will say a comment and then that will make you feel really self-conscious. So I don't really care about what the girls think, but I think boys don't really say anything to my face, but I think I'm just scared about what they'll say like behind my back.
as a child development teacher, have you ever taught a boy in your classes?
In my 3 years of teaching at the Edinburgh School, I have not yet taught a boy for child development.
Do you feel a boy would be welcome in your classes?
I think a boy would definitely be welcome in child development. I think they might feel a little bit uneasy at first because it tends to be a girl-heavy subject that I think generally because of historical and society pressures, girls tend to pick it and boys feel a little bit nervous of picking child development, but they would be made welcome in the lesson. I don't think once I think once they're in the lesson, they would not feel worried about it, and once they got into the swing of things, it would be fine.
Do you think there will ever be like sex equality in the world?
I think on a world scale, it's almost impossible because of various things. Obviously, I teach religious studies, and I think religion can have an impact on kind of the way that women are treated in certain societies. But then I think also religion can have a positive impact, so if it's done well, then we could have gender equality in certain countries. But just the divide between rich and poor in certain countries, like third world countries, I'm not sure they would ever have gender equality in my lifetime.
With the Embrook head teacher leaving, Sanjan interviews Mr. Matthias to reflect upon his time here and what is to come at the Embrook School.
Hello, my name is Donatus and I'm reporting from BBC News Report. Here at the Embrook School, our head teacher Mr. Matthias has recently resigned from his position after offering his service for 9 long years. He has been an integral part of our school and has tirelessly strived for the betterment of our education. Over the past 9 years, Mr. Matthias has helped make our school well respected and led us into great success. We asked the teachers who had been here longer than our head teacher what impact he had on the school in the past 10 years and how he helped the school grow into what it is today.
Hello Mr. Bell. According to you, what differences have you seen under Mr. Matthias when he was head teacher? Are there any specific measures that he introduced to the school?
Yes, I think one of the main things he brought to the school was a level of consistency. This was almost his motto from the moment he arrived, that we all behave as a staff, as a team, and that we try and implement school policies in a consistent manner. The other important thing he did was to move us into the present college system that we have, where pupils are in mixed age groups. That seems to work very well, with older pupils looking after younger ones and setting an example for them.
And what was, according to you, the best thing that Mr. Matthias has achieved for this school?
I think he took us from being a fairly mediocre, middle-of-the-road school. He's made us a very good school. There's lots of excellent things happening here, and the teaching is very good.
And finally, what are your thoughts on Mr. Matthias leaving, and have you got any fond memories you'd like to tell us?
Yes, I'm very sorry he's going. I said to him shortly after he arrived that he made me wish that I was at the beginning of my career rather than a little further along, and a lot of the things he was proposing were quite exciting. I think his encouragement of young teachers has been outstanding, and personal memories in very dark times in my life, he's actually been there as a friend, and I will certainly miss him.
We also spoke to Mr. Matthias about his thoughts on leaving the school after so long and how it was to be in his position.
Hello Mr. Matthias. As the former headmaster of this school, what was the school like when you first joined, and what really impressed you when you first joined?
I knew about the Embrook School for years before I even had the opportunity to apply. And it was a school with a great reputation. It's always been seen as a local school with huge potential. Wasn't necessarily achieving what it should do. And I'd worked previously in Berkshire, but I'd moved to Hertfordshire. And it was a great opportunity to move back again. And I just saw it as a huge opportunity for me to work in the school, which is great.
Did you face any major challenges or obstacles over the years?
You always face challenges whenever you do, and actually I don't mind challenges. I wouldn't say I like challenges, but they're an interesting part of the work. So 7:15 yesterday afternoon, the Embrook was put on flood alert again, so I came into school about 6:30 this morning, and it was fine. Everything was okay. We've dealt with it before, and it's just a fact of life. I quite enjoy it. I've enjoyed the project on building the new English block. I've enjoyed securing the money for the new maths block. yeah, the fact that the job is varied adds to the appeal of doing the job.
So how has the school changed over the years since you've been working here?
The main change has been the quality of the school site. We've had all sorts of issues with the roofs were leaking and the river was playing silly fools, and so we persuaded the council that they needed to spend a lot more money on the school. And the consequence of that was you guys have got better facilities than the students who I had in 2006. But they were unfairly treated in my view, and I've just got you what you deserved and what you were entitled to.
So how do you feel about leaving, and what do you see in the future of this school?
I feel sad at leaving, genuinely do. I think this is a wonderful school. This is genuinely my favourite school I've ever worked in, which is why I've stayed here longer than any school before, full stop. And I always thought I would leave and go and be a head teacher in a different school, a third headship. So it wasn't my plan to stay here. But I've stayed here because it's a great community. And because it's a great community, I have every hope that the school will build and grow.
And finally, how do you feel about Mr. O'Neill taking over as the head of the school?
I think that's really exciting. I think he's an experienced head teacher. He's young, he's got lots of ideas, lots of energy, and I think he will come in, not trying to change things, but trying to improve them even further. So I was really excited when they appointed him, and I think I can't wait for him to start.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
From the Embrook School, we wish Mr. Mathias all the best in his future endeavours. And to our new head teacher, Mr. O'Neill, we wholeheartedly welcome him to our school and hope he leads us into a new era of achievement.
As GCSEs change, we discuss the effect on the pupils who will be the first year to take part in this new scheme.
Hello, my name is Donatus. Today I'm going to talk to you about the new policy that the government has brought in on the changing GCSEs this year. I am also going to address the potential effect it may have on the Embrook School pupils. We all know that GCSEs will become more challenging as will be tougher than the previous years, and pupils will have to take these exams at the end of the year. We unfortunately will not be able to retake these due to the new government rules. There will be no choice of foundation or higher paper, and there will be only one exam, which makes it more harder for us. Getting an A star or an A hat, which is the new marking system equivalent of a 9, is extremely difficult, as to do so you must get the highest 10% of the marks throughout the country. In order to understand the impact of the new GCSEs, we interviewed an English teacher at the Embrook School. Hello, Miss.
Hi, Donatus.
So, what do you think of the new GCSEs curriculum?
Okay, so obviously as head of English I can speak specifically for my department and my subject area. So we're currently teaching for Year 10 the new curriculum, whereas a lot of subjects won't be starting to teach that until next year. There's been a lot of changes that have been made. Some changes I can see they're trying to be much more rigorous, trying to raise standards, which can only be a good thing. But I think some changes aren't that good. For example, we no longer are allowing students in English to do coursework or controlled assessment elements, so it's a 100% exam. And for our subject, that's about 7.5 hours worth of exams that students are going to have to do at the end of year 11, which is great if you're really good at exams, but not everybody performs well in exams. And I think for English, there's so many skills that we're developing that can be assessed through coursework, etc., which the new exam, the new curriculum isn't allowing us to show off or showcase those students' talents. For me, another key area that's been removed from the new curriculum is the spoken element. So although we are having to ensure students pass speaking and listening qualification, that doesn't actually impact on their grade. And for me, I feel that verbal communication is such an important skill. It should be given that relevance within the grading system as well.
Okay, so What is your opinion on the fact that spelling, punctuation and grammar affects grades in all subjects?
I do think that's a very good move actually, because again I am biased as an English teacher, but I do feel that perhaps, you know, over recent years with new technology coming in, young people texting and what have you, that maybe we are losing that accuracy with our spelling and punctuation and grammar, and I think we do need to raise that profile because it's still very important.
Okay. And do you think that the new 9-1 grade structure is a change for the best?
At the moment, I'm not convinced. I think there's a lot of changes which not everybody is very comfortable with at the moment. I think the examples are still not really giving us very clear details as to what a 9 might look like or a 7 might look like. And so I think that's difficult to be able to translate then to the students. I think, you know, we were very familiar with what an A star or a B, a C should look like. And I think it's making teachers and students and parents very nervous about the future. And I think for employees as well, for employers, you know, taking on, you know, young recruits, they're not necessarily understanding what that structure, the grade structure is all about.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donatus.
And now back to the studio.
Jamie and his co-reporters are here with the sport updates.
Hello and welcome to Embrook Sport. Today we'll be recapping on this week's Champions League fixtures and also looking forward to the sport coming this weekend. We go to Rory, reminding us on the recent Champions League results.
After last night's results, we see PSG and Benfica join with Real Madrid and Wolfsburg in the quarter-finals. The main fixture, Chelsea vs PSG, saw Paris Saint-Germain victorious after a close 2-1 victory at Stamford Bridge. Benfica came from behind to win 2-1, progressing them into a spot into the quarter-finals. Next week we will view the remaining second legs of the round of 16 in the Champions League. Media attention will be centred on the Barcelona vs Arsenal fixture, where Arsenal are behind 2-0 in aggregate. Back to you, Jamie.
Thank you for that roundup, Rory. We now move on to Jack, where he will be giving us the FA Cup fixtures coming this weekend.
Thank you, Jamie. Today we look ahead to tomorrow's crucial fixture in the quarter-finals of the Emirates FA Cup between Reading and Crystal Palace. A win for either side would guarantee them a place to Wembley and a place in the semi-finals. McDermott's men are in fine league form, whilst Palace are struggling to pick up points, so an upset for the Premier League side could be on the cards. Back to you in the studio.
Well, that concludes Embrook Sport Roundup. It's a thank you from everyone here in the studio, and until next time, goodbye.
Earlier today, Ellie spoke to Inspiring Year 9 about her charity events. I'm here with Erin, a Year 9 from the Embrook School. Erin, you're fundraising in and out of school for sport relief. What made you decide to do this?
Well, I watched lots of sort of YouTube videos and adverts on the telly of like children in need and who were sort of unfortunate, and I just thought, like, because I'm quite sporty and out of school, that I thought if I did something, even if I just raised a little bit of money, it could help someone.
Okay. For sport relief this year, what are you doing?
So in school I am holding a non-uniform day and also a bake sale, and then out of school I'm going to do the 3 Peaks Challenge.
What exactly is the 3 Peaks Challenge?
So climbing the highest mountain in Wales, England and Scotland.
That's challenging. Who are you doing it with?
My mum and then my stepdad will be driving.
And what days are the events in school taking place on?
Friday the 18th of March.
Okay. How long do you imagine it will take?
I'm hoping to do it in under around 24 hours.
Do you have a goal for how much you're hoping to raise?
I don't know, maybe 1,000, a bit over maybe, because if I can raise that in school then it should be more, so somewhere around there.
Well, good luck to you. That's all from us, thank you. And finally, over to our weather girl, Caroline.
Hello there, I'm Caroline. It's been a chilly start with some large cloud coverage, but the rain band has almost fully disappeared from yesterday. The cloud coverage in the Wokingham area is still remaining, but the day is going to be quite dry. There will be a temperature of 4 to 7 degrees and a slight drizzle in some places across the area. There will be a light eastward wind. Moving into Friday, we see a return of the sunshine, but there will still be a cloud coverage. Temperatures will increase slightly with highs of 8 degrees. On the weekend, we see cloud and sunshine throughout both days with a 4 to 7 degrees temperature on Saturday and a little decrease with a low of 3 degrees on Sunday. The next week starts off well on Monday with no rain but slightly less sunshine than the weekend had to offer. Over the next 5 days it will be dry for most, there will be some sunshine and some chilly nights.